Hello, Bronwyn Lund from BronHolm Tours here. I'm on the island of Bornholm and I'm doing these 360 video walking tours for people who either can't get to the island or can't get around the island. And today I'm just filming the last in a series of 4 films about the 4 round churches of Bornholm. And this is Nyker Church, which is actually the youngest, believed to be the youngest of Bornholm's round churches. So let's go take a look. The new church, or Nyker Church, is a 12th century round church located in the village of Nyker, some 7 kilometres from Ronna on the Danish island of Bornholm. It's built in the Romanesque style with 2 stories and contains frescoes from various periods and a pulpit with 17th century panels. Like Bornholm's other medieval churches, Nyker was built in the 12th century but is normally considered to be the youngest of the island's 4 round churches. It was originally called Ecclesia Omnium Sanctorum, or All Saints Church, and the present name dates from the middle of the 16th century. And that was actually about the time of the Reformation. So the church went from a Catholic All Saints Church to becoming a part of the Danish folk church group. So we're just going to walk a little bit around the graveyard and out towards the gatehouse over on the right, and then we'll go into the church and have a look, and I'll read a little bit about the history of the church. And once again we're walking through just absolutely beautifully kept graveyards with the lovely hedges and just very pristine and nicely kept. I just wanted to walk out to the back graveyard here and have a look at the back of the large gate that is on our right, because it's actually got quite an interesting cantilever system if the sun doesn't blind us too much. And then we have another nice vantage point of the church and the gatehouse. Now the gatehouse would have been used for storage as well as being a gatehouse, and it's believed that this church was never used for defence purposes, as there is a hypothesis that the other churches were used for defence purposes. So the gatehouse also contains the bells. Now I'm just coming at the church from this angle because I wanted to point out the fact that the north door, which is directly in front of us, is still intact in the church, and this door was the door that the women would have entered the church through. In the other round churches, the north door has actually been removed and replaced with a window. So that's really interesting because that gives us an indication of what the north door probably would have looked like on the other 3 round churches on the island. And I've done a film of the other 3 churches, 3 different walking tour films, so check those out. So now we're just going to go into the church. And once again, on the porch here would have been built later than the original church, and you can see that in the way that the wall is built and it's rounded, and that this is actually an annex or a built-on porch. The other thing is that we have the list of all the priests or ministers of the church who have been called to the parish, and dating right back to the Reformation. The other thing that's interesting is over here on the right-hand side is actually a list of plague victims in the parish, and that's a pretty telling piece of information that how many people died. You've got 5,000 and 4,500 in the different plagues, And considering that at the time the island probably had a population of about 30,000, that's a large percentage of the population that were knocked off by the plague. So now we'll go into the church proper. Lovely big heavy door. And have a look at the pulpit and some of the absolutely beautiful frescoes that have been preserved in the church. We'll just go around and have a look at the different aspects of the church, and then I'll just read out a little bit of information from Wikipedia about it while we're standing here. Just take note of these 3 windows. They were actually designed by one of the priests, and the cross in front of us has actually been made by the local glass-blowing Baltic Sea Glass, and it was made by the owners of Baltic Sea Glass, so they've also contributed to the church. So we'll just turn around now and have a look at the main column of the church while I read out a little bit of information. The church consists of an apse, a rectangular core and a round nave, all from the Romanesque period. It is built of granite fieldstone apart from the central column and the window frames, which are finished limestone. The semicircular tympanum over the south door is made from a single block of limestone. The porch, dating from the late Gothic period, is somewhat younger than the body of the church itself. The apse has 3 windows and a half-domed vault, while the core has a barrel vault. The chancel arch has been enlarged, judging by the remains of a smaller Romanesque arch. It appears the windows have also been widened. The round pillar at the centre of the nave is 3 metres wide and about 265 centimetres high. The door at the western end of the core's north wall opens into an uneven limestone staircase leading to the church's upper storey, which is unvaulted and has a bumpy floor. And you can probably get an indication of what that looks like if you go and have a look at my other walking tours, particularly of Newlas Church, where we go upstairs and have a look at the bumpy floor up there. It appears as if the upper storey originally had a flat wooden roof which, in view of the many drainage scuppers on the floor, must not have been watertight. It appears doubtful whether the upper floor was built for defensive purposes, as some have maintained. So the frieze around the top of the central pillar in front of us is divided into 13 panels with paintings of the Passion in the early Gothic style. They appear to be from around 1300 or a little later. The colouring is very simple, white, yellow and red ochre and moss green, as are the figures which lack details. The frescoes were discovered by Jakob Kornerup in 1891 and restored by Egmont Lind in 1937. Kornerup also found a fresco to the left of the north door of St Christopher bearing the infant Jesus, probably from the 15th century, but in view of its poor condition it has now been whitewashed over. And above the north door, which is over to our right, there is a medallion depicting the Lamb of God with the chalice and the banner of the cross, together with 2 panels illustrating the Annunciation. So we're just going to go back out of the church now, and I'm going to walk around the church and then end the walking tour. So we'll just walk the entire way around the church so that you can get a feel for what the church looks like. So that was a walking tour of the 4th Round Church on Bornholm. This is Bronwyn Lund from BronHolm Tours signing off. Bye for now.